Hook Me is a first impression series where I give a game 2 hours to get me hooked. 2 hours to judge a game? That's not enough. Right, it isn't. We'll do it anyways. Please note that it took some of my personal favorite games over 10 hours to finally draw me in. Finding those games is not the point of this series. The point of this series is to go in as blindly as possible and see if the first 2 hours can convince me to keep playing. And with all that out of the way, I guess there's only one thing left to say. Hook Me, Metro Last Light. Now, the game made a great first impression with a clean, thematically designed menu and a firefight right off the bat. You go in and there's immediate action, which is a great way to draw me in. Unfortunately, that action lasts for about 30 bullets, which is equivalent to a few seconds. After that, it's about 15 minutes of forced slow walking and tedious exposition. Now I get the need for world building and, introducing characters, and sure, had I played the first installment of the series, I probably would have cared more for the story that was being thrown at me, but that wasn't the case here. And honestly, it just wasn't presented in an interesting way. It's just you slow walking from point A to B while listening to other characters talk. Truth be told, if I hadn't been recording and this wasn't some high-profile game like Metro, but just some random game that I dug up on Steam, chances are I might have dropped it then and there. I'm impatient, what can I say? But in this instance, I didn't drop it. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't.
They'd sacrifice their wives and slaves to serve their lords even in death.
Because next, it was time to go to the surface. And let me tell you, setting foot on the surface for the first time and getting swarmed by watchmen, or mutant rats as I like to call them, was quite a unique and exhilarating experience. Especially if you're a fan of the Fallout series, this game is gonna throw waves of nostalgia at you. Seeing the destruction and mayhem that has been caused to the overworld conjures up some very familiar feelings. And that is something that I definitely appreciate.
The ice is thawing up here. It's almost like spring, huh, Artyomich? Maybe we'll live to see the summer.
The rest of my trial time was spent fighting through tunnels and areas with optional stealth approaches, sprinkled with occasional trips to the surface. Now, what I really liked about Last Light was the gunplay. The guns feel like they have a lot of weight to them, they feel very meaty and heavy, and if you hit an opponent, it really feels like it has an impact. It might not be quite on the level of Killing Floor 2 or Bulletstorm or the likes, but it's definitely very satisfying and well done. Another thing that I'd like to highlight is the enemy variety even early on. Some might be very easy to kill, but they come at you in swarms. Others might be heavily armored and require you to aim for their head or blow your entire load all over them. Yet again, others might force you to switch your weapon because they die when they get exposed to light. This, paired with the variety of interesting weapons, kept things fresh. And overall, just the entire ambiance of the game felt great, which was in a large part, I think, thanks to the sound design. Now, if somebody came up to me and asked me, hey, would you want to buy the Metro soundtrack for $10? I'd probably say no, because the music was solid and it underscored the settings, but it didn't particularly stand out. The sound effects themselves, however, were absolutely amazing. One particular part that stood out to me was when you're tasked with finding a fuse box and you're getting swarmed by these spider bugs. And you can hear them crawling all around you and their ear-piercing screeches every now and then. At such parts in particular, the game really manages to give you these all too familiar horror game vibes, where yes, you're shitting your pants, but hey, it's kinda nice. In fact, that's kind of the point of the whole thing. So this is another aspect where the game really shines, in my opinion. When you're venturing through these dark abandoned tunnels or tight areas, and you can hear the mutants all around you, you can hear them crawling and just waiting to attack you and pounce on you, exhilarating. So the only real negative points that I encountered in my first 2-ish hours of gameplay were, as mentioned at the start, the boring exposition in the beginning of the game. The story did pick up later on though, and possibly that there's very little variety in terms of environments. But then again, that comes with the territory. It is a destroyed world and it takes place in, well, metros, so I don't know how valid a point that really is. Overall, I'd say I had a pretty good time with Metro Last Light. Will I finish the game? It's hard to say, I tend to get distracted easily, but I will definitely continue playing for now. What about you? Have you played an installment of the series so far? Maybe Last Light in particular? Or did you jump straight to Exodus? Or did you play the entire series? Do let me know in the comments below, I'd be eager to hear your opinions on the game. Until then, this is Evolutionz signing out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.
The entrance to the theater is round the next corner. We have to move now. Follow me, faster, faster.